Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Cozy Book Nook for another author interview. Tonight we're here with J.V. Sadler. She's here for a book signing, but also to tell a little bit about her writing journey and sign some copies of her book. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So, and you're local. You said you were like out of the Cincinnati area.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming up and visiting our store. Got a chance to look around a little bit and definitely see how cozy it is here. For those of you that haven't visited yet, our space is about 675 square feet, broken up into 3 rooms and a small hallway. So it's a very, very cozy place. But we love having the whole indie author section. So when you see that in our videos and stuff, and how that keeps filling up. But we're looking forward to adding another couple additions to our shelves as well. So let's go ahead and get into talking a little bit about your books. Why don't we start with the first one? The first one was Licking, correct?
Yes, the first one was Licking. The first one that I thought about, that I was like, I have to write this book.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit, how long ago that come out?
So this came out actually this year, February of 2024.
Oh, wow.
But it's been about a year in the making.
Yep.
And this book kind of like forced itself out of me.
Yeah.
I was actually like going through a very hard time, and like a little voice in my head said, just write.
Mm-hmm. And
what came out of it was some like creepy stories, some macabre stuff, and I'm like, something is forming that is kind of, I don't know, conjuring itself.
I think anybody who's like done some writing, but in written with that passion, has felt that. So that's like one of the exciting things. So have you written before, like in any other situations, like or is this like your first like time or did you just get into writing, or you written in the past?
I am a lifelong writer, lifelong reader. I have published some stuff in like different anthologies and like magazines and stuff.
Very nice.
But this was like my own, first work that I could say is like my own.
Oh, that's amazing. Isn't it a good feeling though?
It feels
it's a
so
good feeling. It's almost like you almost have. It's more than just like something you create. It's also like it's like it just elevates you. In eyes of like some of the other people that may be like aspiring to write, so that's pretty exciting that you came that out now. And you self-published, or who did you like? Did you go through Amazon, or did you?
I self-published through Ingram Spark.
Ingram Spark, okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I mean a lot of us started with Amazon. I never even heard of Ingram Spark until we opened the bookstore. Like, clearly I did not do a lot of research when it came to like when I was writing my own books. I started way back in 2015 was the first time. 2010 was the first book I published.
Right.
So I never heard of Ingram Spark. But yes, I mean, and I've only published one book through them because it's really intimidating.
It is. It is.
And Ingram Spark is like when you first sign up and you go through there, it's very, very professional. And it's not nearly as user friendly as like Amazon stuff. So did you kind of go back and forth between the two, or Ingram Spark was always the one you wanted to go with, and why?
So Ingram Spark was the one that I really wanted to go with because it made my books available to libraries.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It was important for me that I had an option where people who did not have the money to buy my book could still access it in some way.
Yes.
So that was very important to me. Now, for my second book, I did go through both Amazon and Ingram Spark, just because of like timing issues, and I really wanted to get the book out. With Ingram Spark, there's a bit of a waiting period.
It is, yes, you're right.
Yeah, Amazon is a bit quicker.
I've actually, because of the process of Ingram Spark, I've only like done one of my books, and that was kind of a test to see how easy it was, because they do have some policies as far as not being able to change or modify your book as easily as you can Amazon. I think after like 30 days, like you have to like pay in order to upload a new copy of cover and stuff. So I wait until I'm definitely sure like my book's refined and stuff. But it also gives you a new market too, right? So you have the two different markets. Like I never heard of Ingram Spark, and of course Amazon sells it as you go through us, you get on distributions and you get in bookstores and stuff. And come to find out that is not really the case. Most bookstores prefer not to buy from Amazon. They go directly to Ingram Spark. So I kind of transitioned toward as a bookseller. I started transitioning as an author, but also as a bookseller, kind of realizing that they have, if I want to get a hold of books, that's like the biggest, library as well too. Because there's no way on Amazon as a wholesaler to get a hold of your books as a wholesaler and resell. So that's kind of how we fell into it. And I'm kind of glad we did. And that is a combination of macabre, but you also had some poetry in there as well.
Yes.
So have you always been a poet, or?
I have always been a poet. I published in my high school had a magazine and a newspaper, and I would publish in both. Mm-hmm. And actually, when I was transitioning from middle school to high school, my English teacher in middle school gave me a bunch of Dickie Giovanni's works, and he's like, you write like Rita Dove. Mm-hmm. And at first I didn't know who Rita Dove was, but now I know, like, she's a big Ohio poet and won numerous awards and is like a classic poet now. And like that was like the biggest compliment someone has ever like given me. So I wrote all through high school, and I took a bit of a break in college, and then just started back writing once I graduated from college.
Very nice, yeah. Very nice. And then how long after did you come out with the second book?
All right.
And what is the name of that one first? What is that one called?
From My Eye to the Sky.
Okay, from My Eye to the Sky.
Yes.
Nice.
This came out this year as well, in June of 2024.
Very nice.
This was quicker to put together because I write quicker with poems. With short stories and with eventually a novel, very slow in that process. Mm-hmm. But poems like fall out of me.
I find that fascinating because I struggle with poems. I can sit down and just write a story, front to back, but I struggle like with poetry. And so it's interesting that for you it's kind of like the opposite. Like you're like poetry just comes out. Man, you're already my hero. I'm already like so like in love with that because that's a weakness of mine. And, some people just like songwriters, so it just comes so naturally. It's like, oh, I just wish. So how'd you come up with the title for this one? Like, does it have meaning behind it?
It was more about like hopefulness, because a lot of poetry in there is like looking at the reality of things that can be very like stark and very like depressing at times, but it's also like, hey, there's some hope that's here. There's some good things that are happening in the world that we can look towards too. So. Yeah, from my eye to the sky.
And just so you all know, these are not sound effects you hear in the background to kind of go along with their narrative. We're across here from the fire department and some vehicles like going off in the distance. I'm like, that's very good timing.
Right.
We're talking about, might be some political unrest going on in the story stuff,
yeah.
and all of a sudden in the background some sirens like, man, this guy's good at editing. He's got all these sound effects he's slipping in the back, and it's like, feels like it's really there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's is that something you're passionate about, like political injustice or kind of what the worldview is?
Definitely. I am currently a master's student at UC, University of Cincinnati, and I'm in education, but concentrating in research for social change.
Nice.
So that's my entire study is diving into the intricacies of injustice. So a lot of people know things are wrong, but they kind of struggle with understanding how everything is intertwined and the really nitty-gritty parts of injustice. So.
I think that's one thing I find fascinating about writing, right? This is a way you can put into a narrative something that maybe it's hard to digest from the outlets or from people's own personal views, but poetry has a way of explaining or has a way of describing things that people, I think, that they can be in tune with. Oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. Yeah. That really reaches out to me. I think poetry is actually a really good outreach for something so sensitive. Because if you just read a political book or a nonfiction autobiography or something, it's very almost one-dimensional. So pretty much someone telling you. But when you read poetry, it's a lot of emotion. Poetry is a lot more emotion than it is just a series, just someone telling you how things are. So I think that's a good compliment for what you're doing at school and how you can kind of reach reach people,
Yeah.
through poetry and stuff. So now, did you now when you started that, it was coming out of you, just you felt like you just needed to get some words out, and then you wrote some poetries in there. Was that already kind of lingering in the background, or did like writing this one kind of spawn you into like, oh my God, this is like opened up this other avenue I never thought about exploring?
Yeah, so it was lingering in the background. I think that's why it came faster than Looking. Looking took about a year to like think about and start writing, and then this was like almost immediately, like, did my editing really quickly, sent it to the editor, got it back. The editor was like, most of this is like good,
Yeah.
just a couple commas here, a couple periods there, and it was like fast.
Very nice. So now the editor you went through, did you go the same for both books?
No.
Okay.
For Licking, I went through someone who was well versed in like their thriller, suspense genre, and for My Eye to the Sky, I went to someone who was more. They actually specialize in nonfiction, but we had built a closer relationship just as friends online, and I have taken some of her classes because she's like a book coach.
Okay.
Does like book coaching and stuff and marketing, and she's has a team of editors, which I was like, that's really cool.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
So I went through her for this.
I was kind of curious if people, I think it would look different, editing a novel or nonfiction and then poetry, because poetry has, there's so many varieties, and there's not just a matter of just rhyming, it's a matter of patterns and a matter of rhythm and syntax and stuff, and it's like if the editor doesn't really fully understand that, they're more looking for just misspelled words and stuff. But sometimes in poetry, things are purposely done, like out of the norm because you're doing that. So it's I think it's important to kind of find an editor that knows those different areas. I noticed also that you went with paperback in your first one and then hardcover in your second. Is your second also in paperback, or did you decide to just go solely with hardcover? And how'd that come about?
I went solely hardcover for From My Eye to the Sky, and Looking is just paperback. Well, it's for both of them. I have audiobooks for both, and the ebook, of course. But for my poetry, actually, someone had made a comment saying, "Oh, I wish there was a hardcover copy of Looking," and I was like, I'm just going to keep it paperback for now, but my next book is definitely going to be hardcover.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I think they did the right thing. They both look individual, and I think they're almost in their right mediums. They look like they're in their right. How did you kind of come with the is a picture an image? That's very drawing. When I looked at your book for the first time, it's a very captivating cover. So I'm very curious about it.
Yeah, everyone thought it was like an erotica or something, and I'm like, it's not. But
the title is Licking. So I can see where the confusion might lie. But tell me a little bit about that. It's a fascinating cover.
So both of the covers were made by the same person, a friend from college who does wonderful work, and I went to them and said, look, I want you to do my book covers. And they were like, sure, I'll do it, and lo and behold. And the process is very interesting because I didn't see the process until it was done. So I really had faith in this person that it was going to turn out awesome, and they did. So
what was the direction? What I'm kind of seeing what was the direction that led to that, and then I want to know what your reaction was the first time you saw it. So what was the direction? What did you tell the graphic designer what you wanted your cover to look like that kind of led to that?
So the graphic designer gave me homework. It told me to make a Pinterest board, like a mood board of what I was feeling. And for Licking, I knew I wanted it to be either black and white or grayscale. And I wanted it to be kind of abstract. I love surrealism. I love the Dadaist movement, which is a more political form of surrealism. And when I saw the cover, I was like, this is it. Like, a lot of the stories are very like, they like make you feel they're intimate in many ways.
You buy both books, aren't you? I was looking at that one because of the poetry and the things, and now I'm like, I want both now. It's like I can't decide, but yeah. I'm sorry, continue.
No, they're intimate. They're like, they have you like questioning twice about things. Like, they're not in your face scary, but they're more like, you gotta like think about it a little bit. Like, oh, like something's wrong here.
Right.
But I can't put my finger on it. It's kind of like like uncanny valley. Like, when you think it looks kind of human, but it's like not.
Interesting. Oh, creepy. That kind of like that Slender Man type.
Yeah.
You only see him in the corner of your eye. Not really. The description's like right there in front of you. That's fascinating. I mean, because I love the cover. I mean, it's just, there is something about that cover that's very, like I said, captivating. It's like if I were to walk down and be looking at different covers of books, I would see that. I'd be like very curious about it. I don't know, without like knowing what was in it, if I would necessarily like lead me to like buy and like, because I'd always be confused. But at the same time, I'd be like, there's something about this cover that's just so interesting, And I love that that's the way you went with that. And I hope as you kind of move forward more in the authors, you see a lot of variety. But that's you don't. I wouldn't say you don't see unique, but you see a lot of commonality with genres and stuff, the type of covers that they use. But to find something that's just like so, like you said, abstract and so unique, it's just like you look at it and you're curious and confused at the same time. I think just for a cover to do that, it's pretty interesting. So, and I also noticed that you didn't do any images on the second one. Like the other one is as colors, it's like a cloudiness, but there's no like image per se on there. Except maybe I see something in the background. It's like maybe
some eyes, like kaleidoscope.
Oh, okay. It's one of those you kind of have to look a little. Oh, I see it now. If you hadn't told me they were eyes, it would have taken me a while to kind of realize that, because to me it looks like sunset. It looks like clouds.
Oh, yeah.
With the oranges and that, and the whiteness in the middle kind of looks like it's a sunset. I never would have. It's like now I see it though. It's like wow, another cover that you kind of have to like sit there and like, there's something about that cover that's not quite right. It's a beautiful, cloudy with the sun in the background. Oh my God, it's eyeballs. It kind of gets into it. That's very. And that was the same designer, correct?
Same designer.
Right.
Yes.
And so is this individual, like, do they do artwork as well too, or mostly graphic design, or?
They do artwork, but I've only seen their stuff like online, like on their like Facebook page and stuff. But I don't know, like, outside of social media, like what mediums, like what kind pastels. I just think that's fascinating, because it's almost like I remember when you get a good babysitter, you don't want to like share, and you don't want to hold up, make sure that don't grow up and go off to college and you don't have any more anybody else that's that good watching kids. I'm like, I feel like if you find a designer that good, it's like you really want to hold on to them, because those are really both very interesting, very captivating, very beautiful covers. So that's a great job of collaborating on that, as well as on your editor too. So do you find that you are able to like make a lot of good contacts, like being in college and being in that like a lot of our connections are with other authors and stuff that we kind of just talk through vendor events and through social media stuff. But you're in academia. You're like in an actual academic. How does it like work with working with people that are creative there, but they're doing more of a structured education as opposed to some of the ones that we mostly interact with? They kind of do everything outside of that. They with their ideas and stuff. I don't know. How does the creative process work in more of a university or college setting as opposed to elsewhere? Yeah, it's I would say it's a bit difficult to how can I frame this? Like, we know academia is kind of like more rigid, and there's like rules and whatnot, and even with the creative process, the creative stuff has their own like set of rules, and sometimes the two like kind of butt heads a little bit.
Makes sense, yeah.
And I really want to be holistic in the way I approach my writing. With my academic writing, I've been told like your academic writing is very like poetic. I'm like, that's where the creativity is coming from, you know? And with my creative side, I didn't want to be stuck with like a genre. When I started writing horror, I didn't want to be known as you are a horror author, so therefore you must only write scary stuff.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm also a poet too, and I'm gonna write, political poetry. But I also want to write like movie scripts. I want to be multi-dimensional and expressing every part of like who I am.
I think that's fascinating too, because I think that's probably the biggest difference between traditional published and indie published. A lot of traditionals, it's almost like the author's dream. When you picked up by a publishing company, you're getting paid to write your books. But I find there's a certain price you pay for that, which is kind of being stuck in your particular genre, and I think that'd be fine for some authors. They have their genre, they found that's the path they choose. But I find that like the indie side tends to draw more of the I want to do whatever I want, kind of individuals, where I want to write poetry or I want to write horror. So what's on the horizon for JV Sadler? Like, now that you have these two, is there anything else like, pressing against the soul, or are you just exhausted for these two and need to take a break?
No, there's a couple things that are brewing in the universe. A novel, which will be a thriller suspense novel, another poetry book, and I actually am almost done with a screenplay, and I don't know if it'll be long enough to be like a full feature length, but definitely like a short, film. So those are the three main things that I'm working on.
Now with like the screenplay, is that something you may want to try to maybe produce yourself? Or is that something you want to pitch to Hollywood? Or what would be like, because you can do it both ways. Now in 2024, you can go do it both ways. You can do the cinematic if you want to go to Hollywood, but really you can take your iPhone out and you can, make your own, indie stories and indie movies on your own. It's fascinating what you can do nowadays.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it that deep because I don't think I've like broken out in the movie industry yet, because I'm like very new with just like writing books. So I think it will be a project where it'll be done, it'll be finished, but it might have to sit on the shelf to be actually like created and seen by others.
So I'll be very interested to see what JV Sadler comes out over the next year. So we're really looking forward to that. Actually, before we go ahead and let everybody go, did you want to read one from Licking and maybe a couple from there?
I will read a poem from Licking.
Oh, perfect. And what is this one called?
This is called Growth Spurt.
Okay. I like to close my eyes, so I'm not falling asleep. I like to close my eyes when people read poetry, please.
There are branches bursting from your lungs, seeds planted mature into a foliage beast, cough and spit, brown, soggy, saliva-painted autumn leaves, twigs cut into your intestines. There is a large tree. It grows inside you. Give it nutrients.
Wow. Very visual, very powerful. I love that. That's very. And that's one of the reasons I close my eyes, because two things with poetry. One is like, I get very distracted like a squirrel. So if someone's reading something out of a regular book, you can kind of go away for a second and come back and still kind of see about the context. Poetry, since it's so visual and emotion driven, if you miss words, you start like, what was that poem even about? So I find that closing my eyes allows me to like really focus on each word. But that was very nice. All right, so we're gonna read one or two from your from My Eyes to
the Sky.
My Eyes to the Sky. And now it makes sense because there's eyes on the cover, which I did not see before, but now it totally makes sense.
I'm actually going to read a poem for Charles.
Okay.
Just some background. It is about my grandfather who passed away, unfortunately, a couple years ago. And he had dementia towards the end of his life, so that was really hard. And this poem actually won a poetry contest from Poetry is Life Publishing. And was first published in the Poetry is Life Publishing Voices of the Real, number 8.
Very nice.
Yeah. A poem for Charles. Charles, your daughter wept the day you died. I saw her on Grandma's knees, her shoulders bouncing, a sing-along dot across the screen, to the rhythm of grief and pain. Charles, your wife cried your name, a black woman on the microphone. She sung hymns at your funeral, let the Holy Ghost dance. Inside her body, limp and loose, she spoke in tongues. Charles, I heard from my aunts and uncles that you were a great dad, that you were the man of the block, that you took in street kids and taught them how to count their money, how to change oil under a car hood. Charles, the day you called me my mother's name was the day I discovered I've got my mother's eyes, her widow's peak, a big negroid nose, sandy hair from my daddy. Charles, when you couldn't tell your home from the grocery store, those nights you'd wander like a stranger in a catacomb, already meeting the eyes of skeletons. Reach your hands out, and death would meet you halfway. Yea, you met your Lord, whom you have so wished and worshipped, and shouted and raised your hands towards his heaven from your home on earth. Yea, you met your Lord, and I hope he is as wonderful as you always said he was. I hope one day I can forgive him for taking you, who was a father, who was my grandfather. I commend your life, Charles.
My goodness. Wow. Very, very lovely. Very lovely poem. Out of all of them, it's like you already got it. Yeah, if I cried as easily, I'd be tearing up like Leslie for sure. But that was a very beautiful poem.
Thank you.
Very beautiful poem. I'm gonna try to get through one more. hopefully, maybe one not so.
Okay,
Not so beautiful and hitting close to home. Wow, that was good. That was beautiful. I'm gonna be reading that again.
Let's do Mutt Dog.
It sounds safe.
It sounds safe. So this one is called again?
Mutt Dog.
Mutt Dog. All right.
Of course, for those who don't know, because I've actually ran into a person who didn't know what a mutt was. A mutt is basically a mixed dog of all types of whatever.
It's the only kind of dog I actually ever get.
Yeah.
I'm a dog person. I've only gotten mutts because I just I don't know. There's just something beautiful about the mixed, and it's beautiful. I'll let you get to the poem.
Yeah. Mutt Dog is the baddest dog in town. He rummages through tasty trash with his tail up high and his ears down low, and he pitter-pats through each brown bin. Find him a bone or two. Spaghetti and meatballs, like in that Disney movie. Sneak snake into a hoarder's garage and steal some rat poo-infested canned tuna from the cats. Pounce, you nasty dog, into the dump. His ribs cracked and chipped from the kick of an angry man just come home from work. Lay down on the ground, play dead, watch a white woman jogging and pick you up, pat you on the stomach, roll over, good boy. She'll put you in a tiny sweater to show you off to her friends, a new topic for an essay to write, of how she saved you, and she'll win some money off the tribulations and the hard life of a mutt dog.
Wow! Oh my goodness!
My doggy was a mutt dog.
Well, I feel a lot more like beyond just the dog too. Is like I see where that can definitely. Wow, that's very layers in that one. I love it. Yeah. Wow, very very. I will be getting both of those tonight for sure.
Over which one?
I know, right? We'll have to just take turns readings. You read this one first, I'll read that one. And we'll switch. Wow, very beautiful. You do definitely have a gift, and I hope.
Thank you.
Hope to see much more. Even if you do these other adventures and stuff, definitely want to see some other poetry because you definitely have just the nuances in that were just so potent. I think that's one thing I love about poetry compared to like traditional storytelling. Storytelling, you have time, you create the environment. Poetry, you're limited to just a few words, and you have to be very selective which words to use to make sure to get your point across. And if done correctly, just a 3-minute read, just break hearts and make people cheer and tear up and feel all kinds of emotions. Yeah. I was angry at the guy who kicked the dog. I tell you, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I was ready to throw swings just just from that, as being a dog lover and stuff. So just so many nuances. I love that. Wow. Okay, so both these books are going to on our shelves. So please, take a look when you come in the store. Open it up and take a look at a poem, and I guarantee it's like after just reading one, you're ready to take them home with you. They're also available online. JV Sadler, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for visiting our little cozy book nook and sharing your story. But we definitely look forward to seeing more of your work coming out in the future, and excited as you come out with more and more books, carrying them here, because that's definitely I think something we're definitely gonna be excited to share with people as well too. Is like poetry is we don't have a lot of poetry in there, and the few that we have are very good, and so I'm excited about having that section that we'll be able to show. So need to cry? There you go. There's one right here. I'm going to read to you. That's going to work. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you back again. Thank you all for joining me for this interview. JV Sad, like I said, she'll be here. Her books will be on our bookshelves and online. But make sure all of our social media links will be in the description below. If you liked what you heard and that's something you definitely a career you want to follow, definitely go down and show your support on social media and follow her to keep up on all her upcoming writing. So, and thank you all for joining us again. And we will definitely see you guys in the next interview. Have a great night, everyone. Cheers.